Hello, I've been helping my dad with some DIY, so this is DIY Jamie, and today's video is just me answering some questions that you guys submitted down in the comments. In a previous video I asked you guys to ask me any questions that you wanted, and this is the consequence of that request. Dramatic pause. Do you have a motivational quote or thing that you say to yourself during tough times? Yes, I do actually. Are you a problem solver or are you a problem maker? I.e., do you do something about your problems or do you just complain about them? Favourite book and why? I'm not really a person for favourites, but the first book that popped to my mind was The Great Gatsby, purely because it's like that small, has a huge impact, and the imagery is beautiful. Oxford and Cambridge students actually rivals, or are they kindled spirits? We aren't really rivals. Students from each university, they get on fine. Whether we're a kindled spirit? I'd say so. Why? It's probably just historic reasons that they were the first two universities to exist in the UK, and in the world. Could you tell us more about your internship at Google? Yes, I will. In fact, I was planning on doing a little series about it. So, you got that one to come. What are your favourite films? I mentioned before I'm not really a person for favourites, but the first film that popped to my mind was The Dark Knight. They also suggest that you check out Into the Wild if you haven't watched it already. Is there something that you should have done at Oxford, but you didn't? Ooh, tough question. There are tons of things in Oxford that I wish I would have done, so this is kind of a tricky question, but I don't actually think it was feasible for me to fit them in. So, I'm just going to pretend that it is feasible for me to fit them in. I would have done more martial arts in first year, and I would have gotten more involved in the arts and drama, because I love that kind of stuff, and I wish I could have gone to more talks, because I missed those. So now I'm catching up online by watching online lectures. What did you do for A-levels? This question's much easier. English literature, maths, chemistry, and history. What calms you down when you have to study for an exam? Foolproof plan to get rid of your exam worries. Press play on your favourite song and just move like no one's watching. Do a bungee jump for 3,000 subscribers! This is more of a statement than it is a question, and it seems kind of overboard for me to do bungee jumping for 3,000 subscribers, but it does raise a very good question that we need to do something for 3,000 subscribers, so do post down there what you would like to do to celebrate this milestone. And also, I will bungee jump. Maybe we'll save that for like 10,000 subscribers? What are your 3 favourite life moments so far? Whoa, this question's got me thinking. Let me see. I thought this would be a hard question to answer, but the answers came to me almost immediately. Getting my acceptance letters from Oxford, going to Hiroshima in Japan, and number 3, finishing my finals. What other places are you planning on visiting? Everywhere. Omidetou! Arigato. What makes you truly happy? When everyone gets on with each other and they are enjoying themselves. What made you choose Oxford, and did you look at any other unis? I want to do PPE. Oxford turned out to be the best place to do that. I considered other universities that wanted to do that. See the Draw My Life video for more details on that. What are your 5 most listened to songs? According to my iTunes, it's Cobra Shipped, Good Girls Gone Bad, The All American Rejects, Dirty Little Still Secret, All Time Lows, Damned If I Do Ya, Damned If I Don't, Avril Lavigne's Complicated, and You Me at Six's Bite My Tongue. I haven't listened to these songs in quite some time, so I think I'd stopped using iTunes like 4 years ago. Was it difficult to transition from the Oxford life to working world? I'd say in terms of what I was actually doing, the transition wasn't that hard because I was doing so many extracurricular things anyway. What I'm doing now actually seems a lot easier in terms of flipping the switch and going from university lifestyle to work lifestyle. Still haven't fully adjusted, still kind of missing the way university worked, but it's fine. What do you find interesting on YouTube? The ones that are educational. I don't watch people who just randomly talk about anything on the internet. I don't find that particularly amusing. I like people who talk about interesting things in an interesting way and communicate in a creative fashion. Will you ever do a master's? Potentially. What is your biggest Oxford-related regret? I was thinking about this. I can't really come up with an answer, so I'm going to go with I don't really do regret. What is your one tip that you would give to a person who's thinking of applying for PPE at Oxford? Pretend that you're marketing self and really highlight your talents in your personal statement is one thing, and also when you're preparing for it, make sure that you're reading things and engaging with things that you personally enjoy, because then your passion will be able to be communicated far more sincerely and it'll be far easier for you because you actually believe what you're saying. Did you do critical thinking? If so, how was it? No, I did not. However, I do actually think there's tons of value in doing critical thinking because when you come to study philosophy or think about anything in a critical way, it's incredibly helpful because it teaches you how to identify assumptions within arguments and how to identify whether or not the argument is invalid or valid, and those skills are incredibly valuable whenever you are criticizing anything, and anything that teaches you how to think is useful because we do quite a lot of thinking, but quite a lot of things, quite often. Do you have any study-specific tips for people studying the sciences, including maths? Biggest tip with learning science and maths is to learn the intuition behind what it is that you're learning, as opposed to trying to brute force memorize all the different formula and all the different facts. That would help you. For example, trying to figure out why a particular formula actually works for mathematics, or trying to figure out why is it that this is bonded in this way with this particular chemical, and just if you can figure out the logic behind those things, because that's all the sciences are, they're based on axioms and then built up from those, you can figure out what the answer will be. And that's the true skill in doing a science. What draws each online video? The fact that the barrier to entry for the viewer and for the content creator is incredibly low, so everyone can participate. What is it about video production that keeps you going? Definitely the export and the belief that I can export it and then upload it to YouTube and then hear what you guys have to say about whatever it is I've been rambling on about this week, which happens to be this. At what point in your life do you think that you will feel that you have made it? I think that is the wrong way to view life. You should not be striving for some sort of ultimate end. You should instead just be living in the present moment now and doing things that you enjoy at that particular moment in time. And that, I think when you've got that state of mind and that attitude towards living, I think that's when you've made it. If I had to frame it in the way that you'd ask the question. Do you think such a thing is even possible? Based on my previous answer, yes. What is your favourite meal? Dad, what's my favourite meal? As I said, I don't really do favourites, but I asked my dad and he said red beans. So, red beans. Would you consider a gap year? I am actually considering doing a gap year. I'm currently saving up the money to do so. And what would I do on said gap year? Well, the plan currently is to try and get to Australia through whatever means possible, and on the way, learn martial arts in a monastery. That's what I've got planned. That would make an interesting video series. Jamie the Monk. Ooh. What's your nationality? Like your ancestry and stuff. I answered that question in the Draw My Life video that I made. But if you don't want to watch it, I am half Indian, half English. I'm British, basically. I want to do French, but I also want to do Chinese, and they don't offer doing French and Chinese at Oxford. What shall I do? Do they offer any other courses? Should I look into different courses? If you really want to study Chinese and French really academically, I try and figure out which one of them you're more leaning toward and potentially do that as your degree. Oxford does offer OPAL courses, which are language learning courses that you can do alongside your degree, and you can actually get quite proficient in the language that you're learning, and it's an explicit language learning course. And then you dive little bits into the literature and the culture, so that actually might satisfy your needs, so I would look into it. It's OPAL. Google that, you'll find it. OPAL course, Oxford, Chinese, Mandarin. What is your favourite academic book? And what is your favourite non-academic book? Again, I already won for favourites, but I'm going to go with the books that I'm currently reading, which is The Art of Warfare and 1Q84. What were your GCSE results? 11 A stars. Who's your favourite Game of Thrones character? Probably Tyrion, though I have high hopes for Littlefinger and Varys. What was your motivation in school, university, and now? Be the best, try as many different experiences as possible, and now I would have to say trying to figure out what lifestyle I want that is meaningful for me. What is the craziest, biggest, most unrealistic dream that you have ever had? I would like to build my own city. That's an ambition that I have, and we'll see if that happens. Jamie, 20 years from now, let me know if you manage to build a city or not. Recommend a book. I can do that. 1Q84. I mentioned it earlier. Read it. Your idols. I have loads, depending on what specific part of my life that I'm focusing on, ranging from like my parents to Steve Jobs to Naruto. A tip for people doubtful about studying hard? It's your life, live it however you want. In my opinion, if you want to do stuff, you need to be able to know how to do that stuff, and knowledge is power in that respect. So learn, it's really fun. Most inspiring film, book, or article? Go. I'll go with the film. If you want something that will get you off your butt, watch The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and then watch it again. If you had to live in a fictional world, which one would you pick? My mind immediately jumped to like Naruto or Dragon Ball Z, but then I realised that there's loads of fighting and loads of conflict and loads of, oh my god, the world's gonna end kind of situations, and I wasn't sure who I'd be within the social strata, so I decided to opt for Death Note, because then I might be like Yagami, or I might be L, or I might just be one of the citizens who happens to be living in a time where there is a huge amount of peace, and the crime rate is ridiculously low because of Kira. The moral dilemma, I think I could cope with that. How awesome was it when you interned at Google? Pretty freaking awesome. What anime do you currently like and watch? I am reading and watching religiously Naruto at the moment. That is my life. What is the most irritating thing about Oxford, and what did you really not like? I wouldn't really say this is Oxford specific, but this is kind of something that really irritates me. People who make a big deal about nothing, whether it be their own self-importance or whether it be really small problems that really aren't a problem. That annoys the hell out of me. Who would you say is your role model? Okay, no, I do have a role model and I will recommend this person. The teacher in this documentary, click this link, I've also put it down in the description, go through to it. That is the exact person I want to be when I'm older, when I am a teacher. He is so inspirational, so kind, and I wish he was my teacher when I was a kid, because he blows my mind. If you guys have like 40 minutes, it goes in 10-minute sections, watch it. It will change your life. That's it for the Q&A video. My camera is about to overheat because I've been doing this in the summer heat. And I will see you next Sunday, subscribers. Thank you for asking your questions. Yeah, goodbye.